Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to season 2 of Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show. Today, I have a fascinating show with Mr. or they, them, Lynn McGinnis and Carmen Sutherland, two queer elders in our community that are making a difference. Lynn is an author. He's wrote a lot of books about fantasy, something that the LGBT two-spirit pronoun community thrives on. You know, we live in that world of exaggeration sometimes, but we are here to educate and inspire the world that we live in reality just like them. A lot of times they just don't show that. But our job here at Pronoun TV is to show the LGBT two-spirit pronoun community and its supporters that we thrive and live just like them. They just don't show it. But today we're gonna have Miss or they, them, Lynn McGinnis and Carmen Sutherland on the show. How you guys doing?
We're good. Hi.
Wonderful. Well, happy Veterans Day.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sad day for the country because they're remembering the veterans who lost their lives, but we're here as living proof of the fact that people fought for the country, and we are lucky to know that we have brave men and women that fought to make sure that we are okay today about the country that we all love and care about, which is Canada. Now, today, I wanted to have you guys on the show because I thought that it would make a real impact on our community, coming from queer elders in our community that have lived, thrived, saw all of the ups and downs in our community, and this pandemic that has seemed to, I would say, even out a lot of things, level the playing field, and even the score for a lot of things, I would say. Now, I just want to first say welcome to the show, and thank you guys so much for doing this for us here. And hopefully at the end of this, we will have educated others and inspired others that the world is a big and concerning place, but there are good people like us that care about our lives, other people's lives, and we want them to know that we thrive and live, and we want to make sure that they know we have a voice within this world. So with that being said, Carmen, I want to talk to you a little bit about what do you think is going to happen? What do you think should happen now after the pandemic?
Well, first of all, maybe I should just tell you for the sake of accuracy that I, as of this moment, don't consider myself queer, which is fine. I'm so honored to be here, but I just thought for the sake of accuracy, I should say that, mostly for your sake and the audience's sake more than any other reason. However, I have a lot of thoughts, which I won't tell you them all right now, but one thing as a woman with a disability, I can tell you of what should maybe happen now that we're in a different space with COVID is that things should stay virtual, like, or at least have a virtual option, might be more appropriate to say. Like, I'm so happy that we're able to do this virtually, and I don't even have to leave my house.
Well, you know, the good thing about all of this is the fact that you are doing well, and you've got Lynn as a friend and a supporter.
That's right.
And he's helping you along, and the fact that he's an author. And you know, sometimes people who write books and all this stuff, they keep us entertained because we love people that tell stories, whether they're fiction, fantasy, or reality. We love storytellers, and it's great that you have Lynn there to help you. Now, Lynn, you have been writing for how long?
I have had a planet inside me since I was a teenager. So we're talking about a planet building over 50 plus years. I have started the novel series. It truly started about 10 years ago. And in fact, I wrote ahead a couple of books before I started the publishing of the first novel, because I hate being rushed. I have my own deadlines and I worked at my own pace. So I'm comfortable in saying I can keep on. I've got 8 novels that in this series, and a lot of them are already written. And so I can continue to work. I work every day. I get up very early and work every day and write away for hours, but it's at my own pace. And now this first one's come out and the next one is already being worked on. And so, but this is a life project. I've had this place in my head since I was a kid.
Okay, so why do you do this? Why?
I think it's, there was a time some years ago where I sort of had some ambiguous feelings about it and sort of stepped away for a while. And the best thing I can describe is I started getting a buzzing in my head. This is a deep part of me that wells up and comes out. It's not a case of, oh, I feel like writing. It's like, it's almost not a compulsion, but it's a very deep part of myself. When I'm writing, my whole brain lights up. It's like, this is my crest moment when I'm doing this. And when I start writing, the characters come alive. There's times where, because I've done all the context and it's all solid, the characters run amok and I'm having a hard time keeping up with them. So it's a deep part of my life. And I mean, I've always been an artist and I used to paint. I now do it digitally. But once I found my voice writing wise, I could take the images that I had and create a narrative and create something that was accessible for people to take them into another place, because I've got this crazy place in my head. And I kind of think it's quite interesting. And so I'm wanting to share it.
Okay, so are these queer stories, or is that what you mostly focus on?
No, but there is numerous elements that are threaded through it. I mean, this is like epic utopian fiction, so it covers a lot of things. But there are numerous characters and classes of characters which are what we could describe as, well, actually, I could say that the majority of characters are, without it even being said, are bisexual, and it's presumed as much. Beyond that, there are a lot of gender variations within the characters. So there's a lot of elements in it that are infused throughout the story. And there's really not a whole lot of time saying, oh, well, by the way, about this character, it's just assumed. And it's just like, you know what, here you are, and this is the way it is.
Mm-hmm. So now, is there an age group that your books you cater to? Is there an age group?
No, not really. I quite frankly, when I'm writing for myself. And then what I want is, so I'm writing within this context and I'm not even thinking about who's going to read this. But I would say that while I'm very happy, and I've got a number of younger people who have already have already responded to the work, I'm quite happy to see a fairly broad audience. Honestly, I would say people who have read a little bit and who have thought a little bit, because there's also a lot of thoughtful content. In fact, it's very much about ideas, the whole series. So that might suggest a mature audience, but it's not limited to that. Whoever loves reading, what I would go so far as to say is literature, epic, utopian literature, which deals with ideas and deals with all sorts of big themes. Here you go, new stuff.
Okay, so when you said earlier that your books focus, or some of your books are about bisexuality, what is it? How does that pertain to your life? Are you in a relationship?
Oh yeah, I am a B and a T in our alphabet soup.
Okay.
So I get 2 letters, and in fact I would identify more as polysexual and genderqueer, and those 2 themes were very difficult as a kid. Given back when I was a kid, there weren't any supports at all. There was no information, accurate information at all. There were no queer voices saying, it's okay to be me and all that. Nothing, none of that. And so there was a lot of hassles, a lot of heartache, and there was a lot of painful discovery of stuff, which is now out there, but wasn't when I was a kid. So I got here the hard way.
Oh, okay. Now, Carmen, do you find it hard to support Lynn as an LGBT, as the pronouns just mentioned? Do you find it hard, or is it easy to have a friend like Lynn? And that's
Sorry.
1 second.
Hang on. I'm so sorry.
okay.
Oh dear, commercial break.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. It's all good.
I need to get rid of this.
Okay, Carmen, it's your show. And I'll get.
Sorry. Okay. So, do I find it hard to have a friend like Lynn? Not at all. When Lynn first started working with me, and being my friend, I didn't. Well, I maybe wondered a little bit because she was, I don't know, one of my first good friends, not my first good friend, who is LGBTQ, but now, I mean, she's just Lynn. Like, that's just how it is. Sometimes we talk about LGBTQ stuff. Lots of times we talk about random other stuff. She's just my friend, just like all of the rest of my friends are.
Okay, wonderful. Now, Lynn, do you have any copies of your book in front of you? Your books in front of you?
Right there.
And can you tell us the name and what that is about?
It's called Heshevira's Challenge. Heshevira is a character in the book, and is actually quite a strange and interesting character, because she's not, I mean, there's several species, and one of them is quite humanoid-like, and one of them is sort of like bears, but talking bears. But it's very, very, but Heshevira is sort of like almost like an immortal. And there's a rebellion that takes place, and she's making a lot of trouble. So that's where the title comes from. But the whole series is the same planet and the same sort of underlying biological technology, but different time periods. So the next one takes place far in the future from this one. This is sort of like the beginnings. This is, even though there's previous history, this is when things start as far as the story arc for the whole series.
Well, the good thing about all of this is that when you told me that some New York was going to interview you with the books, I thought you're on the right track, because that's usually the first place that most books take off, and most that very well for people who are authors and writers and stuff like that. And congratulations on that. And the fact that you actually have a book in print and you can show it to the world is an achievement in itself. And like I said, that's educational and inspirational to show other people in our community and around the world that we have large imaginations that we can, share with the world. And
if I may add one thing, New York broke my heart 10, 15 years ago when I tried to do publishing the old-fashioned way, because New York is where all fantasy in North America, all the publishing houses, the traditional publishing, Dover and people like that. You first are supposed to get a literary agent. I could never get one. And the idea of approaching a publisher is sort of your second choice, and I never had any luck. This is by virtue of e-publishing. This is because we can now do ebooks, and as long as you do your homework and you get it thoroughly edited, you can, you can produce your own books and put them online. And then what you see, that physical copy, there's now an option where you can take your book and turn it into what they call a print-on-demand book. So if you go on Amazon or iBooks or something like that, you have the option of clicking on the ebook or the print-on-demand version. They'll print off a single copy and send it to you. So there's no warehouse full of these sitting there gathering dust. They're printed off as you wish. So the system now really favors authors, And there are a
Mhm.
lot of queer authors out there, and there's stuff churning out, and there's all sorts of genre literature. In fact, genre literature, anything you can name, is infused with queer themes. It's absolutely rampant because it's as a very fertile, as you say, it's a very fertile area, and you know, the whole point is you're starting off in either a new place, or you're presenting a whole new way of looking at the world as it is now, and the sky's the limit.
Mhm.
You can do anything. And
Yes.
of
You
course,
know, back in the days, not to cut you off, but back in the days, San Francisco used to be like that, where all the main gay queer authors would come from when they had all of the the leather magazines and the Blue Boy magazines and the the writing, you know, like in China when they would have the sex books and just sort of the very explicit sex books with the little characters drawn in them and stuff like this. And these things made a huge impact with us growing up. And I remember these because I had a few of these when I was growing up under my bed.
yeah.
So, with that being said, it's great that you have an imagination and you now have an outlet to reach other people that can share in your world of fantasy and all of these different, share your ideas and share what you're thinking and share what you think of how, you know, maybe you see the world or you see stories being told.
Mhm.
Now, I like the fact that Lynn is supporting you. When I first saw what she sent me back here to the questions to ask, and you said that you wanted Lynn to pop in and say hello, she wrote down a few things that she wanted me to ask her about. Lynn, what do you? I mean, not Lynn, Carmen. What do you think about Lynn's books? Do you think they're good?
Um, uh, okay, so
Full disclosure,
full disclosure,
Oh, okay.
she hasn't started reading
I
it
haven't
yet.
actually started reading them because
Okay.
that's only because I have been a little bit obsessed with audiobooks lately. And so I have to honestly gird my loins to get through the long book. But but I am very excited to read it. And for people that are more science fiction-y than me, I think that they will love it because I know how hard Lynn's worked on them, and I know from knowing a little bit about people that like science fiction-y things, how rich the worlds are, and I know that that world is so rich, and this is only book one, so yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so Lynn, how is it? Is it hard for you to find people to read your book? Is it hard for you to find an audience?
Well, what I mean, promotion is using a whole different set of muscles than writing. So I mean, the challenge of not going through a publishing house is you got to educate yourself, and you got to do it pretty well all yourself. I mean, I have used companies to help with like I used one company, Book Nook, for the design, the physical design, and that, although I did the original EPUB myself, I have a desktop publishing background. I'm fairly conversant with a number of these things. But as far as distribution, almost always the author never had a lot of support. They were supposed to run around and do book readings. They were supposed to do all sorts of things. Because we have social media, I am finding I have a pretty considerable Facebook following. I'm just bugging them. I've got a Facebook page now, which has a considerable number of people who've signed on. I also am using Facebook as an advertising tool because my Facebook, the Anu Awakes series page, offers boosting of posts and selecting parts of the world you want to have it in. Right now, I'm boosting a post which has a review, which you may well have seen, that was in Goodreads. It has gotten, in the last 4 or 5 days, something like 5,000 to 6,000 hits in Dubai, just Dubai. No idea.
Who would've
No
thought?
idea. Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely thrilled. Hello, Dubai. Thank you very much. But
Mhm. Oh, yes.
it's such a small world in some ways, and social media, it's not perfect by any means, but it can be a great tool. And I'm self-taught on all this, and so finding the audience is a matter of casting the net wide and then zeroing in on the people who are interested and cultivating, building a group, a gang, a cult, whatever.
Now, when you said, why aren't you on TikTok?
I'm that's for videos. I'm not sure that I'm really at this moment. I don't see that, but I'm open. Hey, I first off, I thought Instagram maybe, but of course I've got all this art, so I do have an Instagram page, and it's getting there. It's pretty popular, and I have a lot of original art, so that's a good forum for it.
To be honest, TikTok is a perfect platform for your book.
Oh yeah.
And you don't have to do long videos to get their attention, but I think that there's an audience there for you.
Okay.
And you should look into that. And more than Instagram or Facebook, TikTok now is, I mean, you see all the celebrities all over it. Celebrities don't get all over something unless there's an audience that's big. So, and I'm there. And I'm there. So, and I'm doing very well.
Okay.
I would do better if I would do more lives. But since they don't pay Canadians, I'm more just interested in than just promoting Pronoun TV and making that something that sticks in all of our community and other communities' mind. So it's working perfectly for me in that sense. It's sort of branding me. So I'm not really worried about being paid right now. I'll get paid down the road. Do you understand, Carmen?
I got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
See, this is part of the learning curve. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for checking it out. Thank you.
So now, what's your second book about?
Second book is I mean, it's very hard to do a summary. A lot of these stories are very intensive threads where different characters are in different parts of the world and are following different narratives, but eventually they come together. So it's very hard to summarize, but it's a continuation of a number of the ideas and themes at a different timeline that occur in the first book. They're all going to be like beads on a chain. They're all part of the same big narrative, which is the planet and how things evolve on it over a long period of time. But it's very hard to summarize at this point. That'll come.
Okay, so are these comic looking characters or real life characters?
Well, they're meant to be perceived as real, viable, actual beings on another world, in another universe. They're very much meant to, very much when you read, I'd like to think, and my feedback thus far is not saying no to this, that you get into it and it feels like a real place. It's a different place and there's different things, but it's.
Okay, now she wrote here for me to ask, why is it so important to read? Why is it so important to read?
That's a wonderful question. As somebody who grew up in a household full of books and has had them all my life, it's just a treasure, a treasure which, whatever form it comes in, opens up worlds, opens up other people's minds. If you want to step into England a century ago or ancient Rome and see what people thought, you can do that. You can open up this thing and you're in somebody else's head. And so it's a way of connecting, as I say, sometimes with people who are long gone from worlds that don't exist anymore. And yet there you are, they're speaking to you. And that's just a marvelous treasure. And we would be much the poorer if we didn't have that.
Mm-hmm. Now, Carmen, when Lynn's sitting around you guys are having a drink, hanging out in the kitchen, eating and talking, and he starts rambling on about this book and this idea that he has for this book. What do you think? Do you think he?
I think that it sounds wonderful. And also, I wish I had enough discipline to write a whole series myself, to be honest. That's what I think. I think that I'm most in awe of the discipline that it takes for Lynn to write all of this. Because like I am Lynn's friend, but I'm also Lynn's job. So so the thing that she's getting paid to do, at least right now, is be here with me. She's not getting paid, except with people buying her book, to write the book. She created a job for herself, and then she did the job. I do not have that much discipline. So honestly, that's what I think about the most. And I know that once I get going on reading the book, that one of the things, and obviously not everyone is going to have this luxury, one of the things that is going to be fun for me is to be able to ask Lynn questions as I go, because I'm going to have like,
what does that mean?
Which is what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen.
That's fine.
So yeah.
So you are, Carmen, you are heterosexual.
I don't know.
Oh.
We'll go with that for now. But I am cisgender. I can tell you that much. But that's about as much as I'm sure of.
Oh, okay. Okay. So now just we're gonna wrap it up here shortly. I think we gave you I think we dug in there a little bit, don't you think, Lynn?
I'm delighted. I think this is
okay.
This has been a treat.
And you know, I have just a couple of more questions for you guys, and then we'll close it off. Now, Lynn, you're 65 years old.
Go figure.
Okay. Now, how do you see, what do you see for the next 10 years? What is it that you want to do? And what is it that you want these books to do?
Well, you know, it's very interesting. While my knees are starting to give me trouble, I actually feel like I'm at the top of my game. I feel like I have more as far as creative ability and facility. I can just sit down and write a chapter in a couple hours. I really have a very solid, I mean, for so long when I was a kid, I had this presence inside me and I couldn't define it, and I had no focus and direction, and I've got that now. I am focused, I am directed, I have clarity, I have a trajectory. And so what I see doing is full throttle working on this series, because this has been something, as I say, that's been brewing inside me for decades. And, you know, I don't know what I'll do next, but I think that my commitment to the planet Anu and to this world is going to probably go after these novels, and who knows, I may fit in one or two more in between. We'll see. It does take a long time. It's worth it.
But you know, we have so much social media outlets now with different channels, from Netflix to Hulu and Roku and this and that and this and that. And do you see your books as a movie one day?
That would be an interesting exercise. I'm not going to say no to anything. I mean, talking about audiobooks, boy, I looked into it and bloody hell, does that cost a lot. And I've had people talk about whether I should do translations in other languages. That also costs a whole lot. I'm going to remain open. It has been suggested that there could be a film adaptation, just as this first film, the first book. Getting ahead of myself. We shall see. I am very open. If that works out, of course, it'll reach a bigger audience. And as long as it tries to stay fairly close to the core themes that are going to run through the film of the book. Geez, you put this in my head now.
I'm for it. Well, the good thing about all that is that because you are the author of the book and the writer and all of that, and you control that aspect of it, you should probably write a screenplay. And then that way, that could help you down the road. I'm just saying,
Oh, hey,
because I
I'm
actually
open.
I actually wrote I actually wrote 3 books, and that I didn't publish any of them. I have them in the drawer in there. And my lawyer, she says, wait until you get on TV, get what you want, and then we're gonna put all of this together.
You heard it
So
first, folks.
you'll, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
I turned 60 in June, and
Wow.
so I will be the oldest person ever on this show if I get on this show. And
Wow.
it will be an amazing 10 years if my retirement could be very good, if you know what I mean. I could live in Florida very well, but we'll see how it all turns out. Now, I want to say this. I would suggest that you get on TikTok, do just a couple of little reads or do a little talking and create yourself a little window there.
All right.
Um,
Check it out.
or just in general, you and Lynn sitting around the house having a cup of coffee, because you can, after you get 1,000 viewers on TikTok, you can go live, and you can always just be sitting in the living room talking about this and that, and that will help create an audience for you, and then you could throw your book. You know how it goes.
Hmm.
So I'm just throwing it out there, because I think that the fact that you have something in print says something more than a lot of other people. Even like me, I wrote the book, I never did anything with it, but now that my agent and my lawyer, they looked through all the stuff I had, they said, this could be a movie. This could be a movie. So I'm not looking at that right now. Right now, I want to get on television, and that is the first step. Then Pronoun TV can be produced. You know how it goes.
Good job.
So in the next 10 years, I have a big plan. But I want to just say it was great meeting you two, Carmen Sutherland and Lynn McGinnis. I can't remember the name of the book. Can you remind us what the name of it is?
Heshevira's Challenge. You do a
And where
search,
can
you'll
we
find it.
and
AH.
where can we find it?
It's on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It's on anywhere you get an ebook. If you just type in that title and then Google, you'll find it. You'll find all sorts of links. There's already a lot of them on there. So, because there's a website too, there's a Facebook page too. There's a big website, which is all the glossary and terms. It's a big resource too.
So if we type in Lynn McGinnis, all
Yes,
of this
that'll
will
get
come
you.
up.
That will,
Okay.
yes, do that too, and you'll find that'll get you there too. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Carmen, for joining the conversation. It was wonderful talking to you. And I want to thank you, Lynn. I'm just going to say in closing before we go, I just want to say to our audience today, if you live in a world of fantasy and you've had lots of time to sit around your apartments and your homes and think about all these things now, like we all have, because this pandemic has kept us all in the house. So start living your fantasy on paper, write it down, do something. Document your life, because you're important. You're human beings. You're here for a reason. Document your life, live out your fantasies. And you know what? At the end of the day, just stay safe and try to help your neighbors, your friends. Just do what Lynn is doing. Writing everything down. It's all about teaching and educating others. We need to get to know each other and understand each other, and mainly from the LGBT two-spirit pronoun community, and whatever pronoun you identify as, we want to know that you are not alone. There's a lot of people out there like us that are productive, that want families, that have productive lives and contribute to everyday just being part of this planet. And once we understand that we're all here for the same reason, love, understanding, family, friends, and the fact that, you have the choice to make a difference. And that's what we're here for, is to make a difference in our lives and in your lives. And hopefully somewhere along the line, we can educate and inspire others to be fabulous. And that's it. And I would say, in Lynn's words, live in that world of fantasy. If you can't live in reality, live in that world of fantasy. Just have a good time. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show. And I'm trying not to be silly because sometimes she says that I'm very silly. But okay, so thank you guys so much for tuning in to Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show. I want to thank Lynn McGinnis and Carmen Sutherland for joining this conversation today. We talked about his books, the importance of reading, and you guys have a blessed and safe week. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.